Alright, so it's been a long time since I've told a story time like this one. I hope you all enjoy this. And let's just jump right into this, okay? The story time takes place when I was in ninth grade. There wasn't too much insane stuff happening in my life at this time. I was going to school as frequent as I could. I was making videos as frequent as I could. And it was a pretty, normal time, right? Nothing was really going too wrong. But then, of course, something had to come and fuck the whole thing up, alright? So one day, I'm on Xbox with, 4 friends of mine, right? Minding my own business, we're playing MW2 together. Just having a great time. We were in a private match doing a 5v5 sniper lobby with some kids that we invited from previous games, and we were having a fun time. And all of a sudden, some kid on the other team gets salty. He keeps losing to us, and in between every game in the lobby, he's talking shit. And of course, he's directing it at me the most, because of course, I was destroying him the most. I kept killing him in the game. So he's butthurt. He's saying, bro, do you even have a social life? Do you only play this game? Jesus Christ, go outside, man. You're such a fucking nerd. You don't get money for playing this game, right? Why are you sweating so hard? Now, it's kind of funny because that comment totally backfired on him in the future. And, I hope you're watching this, dude. Anyway, he was mad, right? He was very, very, very mad. And I'm just ignoring him because he's a little salt bucket. I don't even care. I'm just going to go on with playing the game. So we start up the next game. He was on the other team again. And we won. And that time was really when shit hit the fan. He got so salty. He's like, yo, fangirl, yo, fangirl. That was my gamer tag at the time, fangirl. He's like, yo, fangirl, you're honestly a bitch, bro. Do you have a horrible home life? Do you come and take out your horrible struggles on this game? And I was like, yo, you're really mad right now. He's like, yeah, because of pussies like you cheating. I'm like, oh, so now I'm a cheater. First I was, a nerd that just didn't stop playing. Now I'm a cheater. What's it gonna be, man? He's like, bro, I'm pulling your IP. Now, I've heard that phrase on Xbox throughout my lifetime probably over 1,000 times. So when I heard it this time, it was no different than the rest. I thought this guy was just talking shit. He had no idea how to pull IPs. He had no idea how to hack. He didn't know how to, get my personal info. Whatever, right? So I just reply, I'm like, sure you are, bro. And then he starts reading my info off to me. He's like, yeah, this is your IP. This is your hometown. And I didn't care. I was still defensive. I'm like, yo, you're harmless. You may as well be a little golden retriever puppy. You're so cute and harmless. You couldn't do a thing to me. He goes, oh, yeah? And next thing I knew, I was offline. Once again, I've heard that term so much on Xbox, and it's happened to me a lot. I've gotten hit offline a lot when I was a kid because I used to talk a lot of shit, and so did other people. So I didn't think much of it. I was like, you know what? He'll probably hold me offline for 5 minutes with his little freebooter that he got on Google. I don't care. He's not a real hacker. He just knows how to hit people offline. I could do that too. I don't really care. So I'm waiting. 5-10 minutes go by. I'm still not online. 20 minutes go by. I'm still not online. A motherfucking hour goes by. Still not online. At this point, my mom's getting mad at me. She's like, Austin, why is the internet not working? Can you fix the internet, please? Please? And I'm trying to fix it. And I can't because I'm getting DDoS. I'm getting hit offline. So at this point, I just go to sleep. I'm like, fuck this. I'm done with today. I'll play tomorrow, right? Next day comes along. I wake up to, of course, someone knocking on my door. I go over, open the door. It's a pizza delivery guy. This dude got so angry that I was beating him on MW2 in a quick-scoping match. Yeah, in a fucking quick-scoping match. He got my IP, he got my house phone number, and he got my address. Now, I have no clue how he got my address and my phone number. I know that it's possible to get that information from just an IP, but I know it takes a little bit of work. So he must have been genuinely angry at me from me beating him on Call of Duty. I still can't believe that that's what this stemmed from. He was so mad that I kept quickscoping him in a terminal headquarters sniping match on MW2 that he literally got my address and my phone number and stuff and was sending pizza to my house. Now you're probably wondering, Austin, how do you know he got your phone number if he only sent you pizza? Well, on the receipt, it had my phone number on it. So he must have somehow put that in on the online order or something like that. And also, after I told the pizza guy it was a prank and he left, I started getting restricted phone calls. So I'm assuming that was the hacker calling my number. So I thought that was the end of it, right? Then the next day comes along and I have school, right? So I wake up and I'm on my way to school thinking, nothing's going to go wrong, right? That was the farthest he could go. He ordered pizza to my house. He's just one of those, angry internet Xbox trolls, and that's the farthest he'll go. He won't be able to do anything else but order pizza and call my phone restricted. Nope, that wasn't the case. I arrive at school, and immediately, the minute I walk through the doors, security grabs me and brings me upstairs. And I'm wondering, like, what the hell's going on? I asked them on the way up, I'm like, why am I being brought up to the office? Like, what's going on? And they're like, we don't know. We were just given orders to bring you up as soon as you got to school. I'm like, okay. So in my head, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh no, like, what did this dude do? This dude must have called my school. Like, this hacker must have called my school and made up a bunch of shit about me and, like, got them worried. Like, I really hope it's nothing too serious, because I didn't know what I was walking into. Like, this guy could have made a serious threat under my name to my school and, like, gotten them freaked out. So I'm, like, running all the possibilities through my head of what this guy could have said. And I get brought up to the main office. I get sat down in my principal's office. And my principal wasn't at school yet. It was the vice principal. And she's just staring at me. And she's like, Austin? I'm like, yes. She goes, we got a call this morning about you threatening another student. I was like, no, listen, I'll explain everything. Like, it's not what you think. And she's like, well, what do I think? I'm like, I have no idea what that person said, but I'm telling you, there's a hacker that's been after me, and they've been doing prank calls to my house, and, like, sending pizza to my house and stuff, and now they're targeting my school. Like, I promise you, it's not me. And she's like, a hacker is after you. And she's smiling, like, on the verge of laughing because she thinks I'm lying to her. And, like, I understand what I said sounded a little ridiculous, like there's a hacker after me, and it's probably a little hard to believe, especially for some boomer who has no idea what goes on the internet. But she's looking at me and smiling. I'm like, I'm serious. I'm telling the truth. Like, I could prove it to you. Like, I'll call up my parents right now, and they'll tell you a pizza got delivered last night, and it was not by me. And she's like, all right, let me just tell you what the threat was towards the other student, and let me see if that just rings any bells in your head. I'm like, go ahead. I didn't make any threats. She goes, we get a call this morning from an anonymous number and an anonymous person tipping us off saying that you were going to come into school today and urinate in another student's locker. Now, when I heard this, I wanted to laugh, but I didn't because that'd be immature. But I'm like, no, listen, that's fake. I did not ever threaten anybody with that, and that's not my intention today. Like, I'm just here to get through the day and leave. I would never pee in somebody's locker. That's horrible. And she's like, really, Austin? You wouldn't? I'm like, why are you even questioning me on this? Have I ever peed in somebody's locker? Like, listen, I understand I'm not the best student in the world, but I'm not planning on going to school today and peeing in somebody's locker. And she's like, oh, not today? So tomorrow you will? I'm like, no, I don't want to pee in a locker. Like, there's bathrooms here. I'll use them. And she goes, well, why would someone make a prank call about such a serious matter? I'm like, I can't believe you think this isn't a prank call. Somebody calling the school and saying that I'm going to pee in a locker sounds like the biggest prank call there is. And she's like, well, I don't know. It sounded pretty serious, and it's with another student that you don't like very much. And I'm like, who is it? And she tells me the name, and it's kind of funny because it is someone that I had a little bit of beef with in high school. That's for a different story time. But it's funny that this dude got my school info, this hacker, he got my school info, called and said that Austin's going to come in today and pee in this other student's locker, and he names the other student, and it's someone that I coincidentally know and don't like. So it looked even more legit on the hacker's end that it could be true. So anyway, after she says the name, I'm like, listen, I know that me and him have had our differences, but I'm not going to pee in his locker. That's awful, evil. I wouldn't do that, I promise. She goes, okay, listen, go back to class, but if you're even caught just so much as walking around the halls after the bell rings, we will put you in the ISS room, which meant in-school suspension. And I was like, that's fine, perfectly fine. So I went to class, I went about my day, and the whole day was fine and normal. That was the end of that day. And I get home from school that day, and I'm going through Twitter, trying to forget about the whole previous day and the day before that, and just all the things that have been happening that have not been good. And I get a DM from a random egg account on Twitter, and the DM says, you're done, buddy. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm done with this. So I blocked the account, and I just go on with my night, trying not to think about it. And right after I block that account, I get a restricted phone call, and I ignore it because I'm like, I'm not answering that. Hell no. And I try and go on with my night again. And of course, I get another restricted phone call. I ignore that one, and then another one comes in right after that, and I ignore the other one. And I'm just like, all right, please let this guy stop. Like, I hope he's done. And I didn't get any more phone calls for the rest of that night. And I woke up the next day for school, and I go to school freaked out because I'm thinking, like, all right, what am I walking into this time? Like, what did he call and say this time about me? Luckily, I don't know what happened, but no calls were made into the school about me. I got no more pizzas after this. I got a couple restricted phone calls later that day, but it could have been telemarketers, I don't know. but nothing too significant happened after that. Now, I'm not too sure what happened. I don't know if he just got bored of messing with me and went on to other people to mess with. I don't know if he gave up his little hacker ways. I don't know if he got in trouble or something. I don't know, but I think he just got bored of me and moved on to somebody else. But yeah, he didn't bother me again, and luckily in the end, I was okay. He only called my school that one time and made up that stupid I'm gonna pee in someone's locker story. But yeah, in the end, everything was okay. Moral of the story is, don't be like him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just thought this was a funny story. This hacker definitely went a little too far in my opinion, and I thought you guys would enjoy hearing about it. I hope you guys did enjoy the story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.
I can't play the sidelines, really seen these flaws of mine. Tea leaves help my thoughts align. I need to let go. Open doors like suicide, keeping me from living life.